Welcome back, everyone. There are a number of off-field activities that go on in professional sports that we as fans are not aware of. We know of the negative ones because that's what the press likes to report on. But there are also some positive ones, and Jack and Brian specifically are involved in what's called Heavenly High, Project Feelings. And this is just, I guess, an offshoot of the drug programs that we've been hearing about, and this is another one. Talk a little bit about this, Jack, because you're involved in it.
First of all, it's not an offshoot. It's a program unto itself. It's a corporate status of a nonprofit organization. It's two programs. It's Project Feelings for the secular and public aspect of society, and Heavenly High Youth Ministries. I've been operating Heavenly High for the last 6 months within the framework of the Archdiocese of Boston. And presently we've been empowered by the governor and his Alliance Against Drugs with Roberta Lees as the executive director to go out and educate young adults of the dangers of alcohol and drug abuse. I personally have a history of being involved with the substances, and praise God, because one being a religious activity, I've been well off them for 2 years and continuing on down the road. We have a board of trustees, and on that Brian will be the athletic coordinator and director, and perhaps he could entice some of his other friends within the athletic world to come and speak to these young adults throughout the New England area. The interesting point right now is that we're seeking the association with Lee Iacocca of Chrysler, who I'll have the pleasure of meeting with sometime next week, about his backing financially and socially of this overdue and worthwhile program. You know, Brian and the athletes of this country are forerunners, and the young adults are looking for heroes. You know, we're in a desperate need for someone to look up to, and people like Brian, who are alcohol and drug free, Brian doesn't partake of any substances whatsoever, are out there telling the youth that they don't need it. They don't need the crutches. We have a theme at Project Feelings: it's better to be rejected for who you are than accepted for who you're not.
Brian, do you remember Jack going through his particular problems?
I sure do.
And what went through your mind then? How did you try to help him?
Well, being my brother, you know, I loved him very much, and it hurt.
How many in the family? Let me ask you that first of all.
5 children.
5.
Big 5.
How many?
High five.
How many? How many boys, girls? What's the age range here?
Well, we have one sister, Joyce, who's an executive of the phone company. She's 37. Then we have another sister who's expecting twins, Marilyn. She's about 34, and she's an LPN, licensed practical nurse. Then you have Jack, who's the director of these nonprofit organizations.
Is this the baby of the family here?
Yeah. We have another brother, Fred, don't forget. He's only 260. He's about 6'4" as well.
Is he playing football?
He's about 280. Right?
Was he 280? Yeah, well, that's a little, you know. He played...
Or did he play?
Yeah, good basketball. He's an excellent basketball player. Tommy Heinsohn knew him. And, you know, he did very well, but his shoulder came out during the tech tourney at the Boston Garden. That's, you know, see, that's what we understand.
I feel Freddie had better athletic ability than I ever had.
But how old is Freddie now?
For about 29.
Oh, the injuries hurt him?
Injuries. He's had 5 operations on his shoulder.
I think this is an important point to convey. This is, you know, naturally you're talking the Jets. This is Brian's area. But disappointment. See, we live in a society where people are used to getting immediate gratification, and there is nothing more disappointing than a person that goes through drug and alcohol-free and really dedicates their life to athletics and may fall short of the mark. Brian has said this saying to me many, many times: you never fail until you stop trying. It's so important, and we can't emphasize this enough to the kids. Just do what you feel you want to do within the framework of what's good, and listen to your parents. You know, stay away from the drugs, stay away from the alcohol. If you want to drink when you get older, go ahead, but give yourself that break during adolescence to just be free, be yourself.
The drugs and the alcohol, they'll shut off your emotions when you're a kid.
How did you start, Jack, then? How you come from a great Catholic family? How do you get involved in that?
Well, when I was 14, you see, I went to a parochial school called St. Mary's, you know, and I was pretty well protected within that society. You know, I had the uniform and everything was very secure. But I wasn't handsome then, like I am now. And
I've heard that before.
And no, what happened was that, you know, I wanted to belong. And when the kids get picked on in school, because they don't play athletics, I mean, we had such an athletic family after me. They ran the schools. You know, you go to school, and the cheerleaders and the football heroes and this and that, everyone has a clitch, you know, and they fit right in. And you think that they're happy. Well, they're not. I didn't have anything to hang on to, and I just wanted to belong. I wanted to be accepted for who I was, but I couldn't do that because I felt inadequate. You know, so I got into the drug culture, and there are a lot of kids out there today that are following the same path I did. And I went right into it. 14, I started smoking pot. People say marijuana is harmless because it makes you laugh and you get the munchies. Well, when I do these lectures with Brian and the other members of our board, we ask how many kids have been to Disney World, and a great number raise their hand and they say, yes, we have. And I said, what did you like? They say, I love the rides. I said, which ride did you like the best? They said, we were little, so we only went on the little ones. I said, if you go back, what ride you going to want to go on? And they always say Space Mountain. And that's what the drug world's like. You get in with a little ride, you know, a couple of joints, a couple of beers, and it's fun. But when you get back, you want to go on Space Mountain because you can't wait to get bigger. And that's what happens with children. They get out of 12, 13, 14, and when they're 16 and 17, the thrill of the little rides, the pot wear off. They want the cocaine, the barbiturates, the amphetamines, the hard liquor. And once you get on the drug world, it's not like Disney World. You can't get off when you want. You're stuck. And there are a lot of drug pushers out there, and there's a lot of society. And when you hit 17 and 18, you hit the real world after graduation. Where are you going to be? That's why I say praise God and thank God for getting me out at 29 when he did. I have a lot of friends in prison, a lot of friends in jail who have died from it. And I was a nice person. I lived in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Beacon Hill. Know a lot of the fine politicians, a lot of the athletes. I've seen you interviewing your fine program, which we watch every week. we got to go from Quincy to Weymouth to watch it.
That's right.
But
no. To my house.
All right.
I drag him over to my pub. Brian, you must, when you talk to Joe Walton and the gang at the Jets camp and everything, they must love to see a guy like you come along. Because if anything, the NFL wants to just rid itself of this drug thing. And when they talk to a guy like him, who's not only a great athlete and has great promise, but also you've got this this other type of push, you know, this positive push. They must say, gee, we got to latch onto this guy right away.
Drugs are definitely infesting the NFL, and I think it's a shame.
as well as every other sport in the world.
True.
You know.
Yeah,
Sure.
but the money, I mean, the money has been one of the main problems, right? You guys are making so much money, you know, what else do you have to do with it? The people come up, you're very approachable, especially on the road, right? From people who want to sell you stuff.
Yes, everybody. Well, you get a lot of people coming up and they want to be friends. They want to party with you. I said, well, let's party. Let's get some ice cream, some whipped cream. Let's make some sundaes. Let's watch some TV. Let's see a movie. Let's go to a dance. Let's go to a club and drink Perrier. You know, that's my idea of a party, just enjoying people and having fun and seeing people smile and making people smile and making the kids smile. That's my idea of a good time. Joe Walton and Coach Pasquale and Coach Callahan, Coach Crocker at Iona, they're very much for this program.
And they encourage you to do it in the...
They love it. They're very excited.
Do they encourage you to spread it throughout the locker room there? Or do your teammates say, hey, do your thing in the off season, but don't get near me?
I think they're just gonna let me go because I think they know my type of personality. I'm gonna want to help out these guys a little bit.
Is there anybody else on the Jets right now who might be doing what you're doing, and you're going to cooperate with them?
I did speak to Kenny O'Brien the other afternoon in the locker room at the rookie mini camp, and we were chatting, and he showed a great interest in the program, and he wants to meet with Jack and discuss it.
If I may, the Jets, are premier leaders. They are leaders. I mean, when it comes to money, you think of the Raiders, you think of the Miami Dolphins, and needless to say, our own Patriots. Don't get mad. But the New York Jets very much are forerunners. They're very much into this type of program. They want our most valuable and yet vulnerable God-given resource protected. Our children, they are for the kids. From the 3 times I've had the pleasure of being there, no one gets where I was. Mm-hmm. I was in the locker room, I was in the weight room, I was on the field. And, talking to a few of the players, they're very pro-children. Mm-hmm. I commend the New York Jets. And I direct my own programs. And whether he goes and he becomes the most valuable player ever in the history of the game or whatever happens, it doesn't matter. I direct these programs. These programs are timely, worthwhile, and they're empowered by the Archdiocese and the state of Massachusetts, and they're going nationwide. But as far as professional athletics, and I've had a lot of contact with professional athletes, the New York Jets are #1 in this particular area, without any shadow of a doubt. And I'm proud my brother has chosen, and they've chosen him, and it's going to be a long, worthwhile marriage there, especially with these timely, worthwhile programs.
Yeah.
That's truth.
Yeah. And you know something, it's not so much even the Jets. It would be nice to see perhaps maybe the other major teams in New York, because the Mets are involved in it. Hernandez is involved in it. Winfield has this thing going, I think, with the Yankees, some particular program for kids. It'd be nice to see maybe all the major teams in each city band together, not just have it segmented to football and what have you. Because there's an oversaturation in a way, isn't there? I mean, how many times can we hear people say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it? And the more you say it, perhaps maybe the more the kids are going to do it. So do you ever worry about that aspect of the oversaturation of just trying to drive home this point?
No, because in our program we deal, well, Jack's program, we deal...
Our program, you're right.
All right, our program.
Right, you got that right.
We deal a little bit more on the gentle side. We come on strong once in a while, but you have to come on strong to get the point across. But we speak to them one-on-one, and we speak to them, not at them, or like down to them. Yeah. We speak on a level that they can understand.
What's your biggest enemy right now?
Honestly? Which program?
For the drug program, I guess.
Drug program.
Well, how many
Well,
programs?
there are two programs now. You know, there's the spiritual program, which is heavenly high. That takes it on a high spiritual realm. As Christians, we acknowledge the darker side of the world, which we call Satan, and the positive side, which is Jesus Christ. But out of respect to other individuals' beliefs, we have the secular program. Feelings denial. Denial is killing society. People say it's not as bad as it is. And it's hard for people to justify a problem in their own home when they may have a problem. 7 out of 10 homes in the country of the United States today are being affected by alcohol or drug abuse, whether directly within their family or through relatives or friends. It's an epidemic proportion. New drug just came out called crack, which is immediately addictive. It's cocaine reduced to its most potent form, and twice on it, from what I understand, you smoke it and you're addicted. It's basically freebasing, which is what actor Richard Pryor had that problem with years ago. Not to bring his name up, I understand he's drug-free now. But it's denial. Denial is the biggest problem, not our kids, not our society. Many cities and towns in the Commonwealth itself have been offered money to rid themselves of the problem, but it's not our town. It's not as bad as you can think.
Brian, you're going to probably see it when you go on the road, or you'll see it in New York, let's say, amongst your teammates. How is this going to affect you? Are you going to try to, look maybe aside when it's your own peer group, or will you go up to them and confront these people? What will you do when you see it?
I'm not going to back away, or I'm not going to try to shy away, like you say. I'm going to go right to them. I'm going to try to help them. I'm going to try to help them. I can be in direct contact with it, right here, and they're doing it, and just stay right away from it, because I know it could just kill you. It could just kill you right there. Sure, just standing there looking at it. It's evil. It's evil. It's bad. It destroys the human body. I refuse to let my friends. I refuse to let anyone do it. I can't force. No, I'm not saying I can't force someone, to stop. But I can at least give them some advice and guide them.
And if
I don't do that, I'd be kicking myself.
Okay, and they're going to say, Brian, just get lost, leave me alone.
Well, then I'll just try again.
You want to argue with them?
No, that's okay. Really, it's tough. I know it's tough. And when I say what's the biggest enemy, I say to you, where do you have to start? Everybody says, well, you got to go to the house. You got to go to the family. Where do you go to combat this thing?
First of all,
you can't hang around the corner and just grab every pusher that comes up, right?
It's not the drug pushers that put people on drugs. Believe that or not, it's not the drug pushers. It's feelings. We believe in this program that people are threefold: spirit, emotion, and physical. And what happens is that the child gets hurt so often that they want to anesthetize those emotions of rejection, of disappointment, of disillusionment, or they want to fit in. That's what happened to me. And what they'll do is they'll do anything to fit in or to ease that pain. We're brainwashed with society, television. I mean, even John Wayne movies I was watching the other night. The guy had a bad bite or whatever. Give me a drink and leave the bottle. I mean, we're conditioned. I mean, I don't want to make any enemies, especially for anyone right now, but alcohol is a drug. and we're enticed at every other billboard. Be part of it, make it happen. Beautiful blonde grabbing some guy by a tie. What is that? That's not promotion, that's enticement. That's telling an individual who may not be feeling too good about themselves that if you take this particular product, you may be part of this picture. And they're looking to feel good about themselves. So you gotta just feel good about you where you're at. You gotta let God love you. You gotta move all the uncertainties in your life out of the way and just be who you are. Like, to reiterate my earlier statement, better to be rejected for who you are than accepted for who you're not. Brian went up there and just gave it who he is. And here's a success story. 5th generation Quincy resident, now with the New York Jets. Every schoolboy's dream. And where are we? We're in beautiful Weymouth and your fantastic show and all these fine people around here. Tell you, I wish the people could see us on the other side of these cameras. I'll tell you.
They see why we're smiling.
Yeah, you aren't kidding.
Brian and Jack Donahue, our guests here on Bayshore Sports Talk. We're going to be back with a lot more right after this, so stay tuned.
Beautiful.